Hello and welcome back to Adventure's Edge. This is our first episode of Tabletalk, which is the one we've sort of promised and the one that I'm not sure how well we'll keep on a regular basis. But we have now recorded 5 episodes, and this episode is going to be a short little opportunity for the players to ask me, the GM, Don, some questions. I've got her at the table. And this is completely unscripted. I did sort of throw this on them. And I do want to kind of keep this short because honestly, as a podcast listener, these are my least favorite things to listen to. I have to say that. I know. Everybody just looked at me like, why are we doing this?
Don the salesman.
I know.
Yeah, he's doing a good job so far.
It's a whole thing. And it's they're looking out on the internet, on Reddit, and people talking about these things. Some people love listening to the banter and hearing the players talk and wasting time and, shooting the breeze. And when I listen, I'm like, let's get to the meat of it. But it seems like really split, which is why I was like, well, as a producer now, I'd like to give people what they want, but an opportunity to listen either to this type of show or not. So if you don't want to hear us shoot the breeze for 20 minutes, just skip to the next episode.
Question about that, Don.
Yeah.
You said you're eager to give people what they want, but when I asked if we were level 2, you said no.
It was interesting.
So
that's a good point.
He wants to give people what they want, not players.
Yeah.
But I'm people.
No, you're a player.
Well, is that a question for you? So we haven't really talked about experience.
So let's talk about
Yeah,
experience.
let's talk about it.
Okay, we can do that real quick.
Jump into the deep end.
Yeah, level
deep
2.
end?
When's it happening?
So with the Pathfinder P6 that I'm running, the experience system I'm using is one I designed myself, which is a very streamlined, simplified system where instead of getting thousands of EXP, you get EXP in single digits, and then you level up. And so basically the way it works, to gain a level, you need 10 experience plus the level you're going to. So to gain level 2, you need 12 experience. And this has actually been working really well in our Saturday game.
And I use it in my game now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear. And in a normal 3 to 4 hour session, I've been giving out like 3 experience, which is probably a lot as a scale, like as a percentage compared, because I think people are going to continue to level up very quickly. I think we just made level 5 in that game, and we've been playing for 5 months. So,
Well, some of us have.
yeah.
I'm not. I'm level 4
Oh yeah. Well,
because I got a late start.
you did.
Yeah.
So in the podcast form, the way I'm thinking, because I hate Milestone, hate it. But also it feels like this is going to feel kind of like Milestone. And I've been kind of struggling with that. Anyway, you guys are going to earn at least 1 experience every game. You did earn 2 experience episode 1. It was a long up, and I wanted to kind of get things going. And I'm also going to be using, because in the other system, I'm using coins. So everybody has a little coin bag, and they track their experience that way. I'm not going to do that here just because props are a problem.
Sure.
So like a gold coin is 1 full experience. A silver coin is 1/5 experience. So right now, the way I'm going to do it, because I do want people to level at the same time, is that if somebody does something in game that is particularly insightful, inspirational, whatever, that's going to net everybody a silver coin to help speed things along. So there's been 3 of those listening back.
Please tell me it was when I punched the corpse in the face.
No.
Don't encourage him.
No,
That sounds like a
no corpse
encouragement.
punching is.
Well,
Was that negative?
that is pretty funny.
It's rolling the high to catch the pixie and then only getting it by its leg
But getting it by its leg twice.
Well, see, I was only really tracking, honestly, I got sidetracked is what it was. So like in the first episode, when we were doing the whole mystery thing, I was jotting them down, and that was the last time I did it.
Was the first episode?
The first episode, yeah, I know, it's terrible. So now that I'm revealing this, you can guys kind of angle for those. So anyway, yeah. Somebody was, when you guys were trying to solve the problem, there was some of the insightful, like that the illness was age-based or that it was location-based. Anyway, so you guys are you earned. So episode 1, you got 2 gold and 3 silver. So you almost got.
So what, like 2.6?
2.6, and then we had 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you guys have basically like 7.5 experience
Sure.
towards the 12 you need.
So, if just to understand correctly, in your other game, they've been playing 5 months and they got 5 levels. So that's roughly a level a month, and we've had a month worth of games.
Yeah, but
it's
see,
not.
but see, we're doing one, even though it's one per week. It's like
3
a
hours.
third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Third of the
team are you on, Pat?
This is the truth. I do feel now though with all this little stuff of the pressure to be brilliant all the time now.
Well, and that's
I'm gonna
why
have to
I
admit
didn't want to. I didn't want to just make the award go to the most experienced person who always has come up with a great idea, because then you've got people.
He means
who,
me, guys.
I know. Just it's all about equity. So
Just to see Rochelle's
anyway,
face was worth it.
it's not milestone based, but we will all level at the same time. I know, and you've had some great quips too. I'll probably have to go back and throw some in.
So I'm really disappointed that the only bonuses you gave are so far in episode 1. That is.
So what I need to do is
Yeah.
go back through and re-listen, and now just I can sort of objectively, because you had some really funny things like the Alpha Wolf thing. Honestly, I'll just have to throw that in there because that was funny. It was particularly interesting to me.
I'm not angling for anything for me personally, but just the fact that
I got a lot going on here.
I have.
Well, you can go to angled for you personally because if you get one, that means we all get one. So go for it.
That
I
is
mean,
true.
Yeah,
That is
this is
true.
not about
Don't be
you.
afraid. This is not about
Everybody
you.
is lifting the team up. So that's how we're doing it. You guys are well on your way to level 2. That's how we're doing it. So we revealed it. You all know you're pretty close. So, I mean, definitely by level 10, you guys will be level 2. But I expect that there will be some bonus experiences between now and then.
I guess I better than anyone know exactly how many times he's listened to each of these episodes.
Right.
And so the fact that he
Yeah.
hasn't just made some notes along the way is just
Well, but I'm listening
It's a
to it.
shame.
I'm listening to who coughed
Yeah.
versus who came up with sorry.
And we don't get experience points for coughing.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No. Every cough I have to remove from the edit is negative.
Do
Well,
we lose?
sometimes
Suck it in,
humans
guys.
cough, Don.
Oh, Jeff's making mouth noises again. -1 experience.
Okay, so that's 7 minutes experience. Who has another question?
Okay.
What do you guys want to ask?
This has driven me crazy this whole time. Why, if the old woman wanted somebody to bury her beneath her cherry blossom tree, did she set her cauldron to attack us?
Well,
That's very true.
I'll tell you, because I'm willing to give you meta information. She didn't set it to attack you, but it was basically her attack dog, her defense thing. And I think in my mind, she probably planned on maybe disabling it, but then she just died, right? I mean, it's one of those things. It's this was your protection thing, and
Forgot to turn off the
So if we would have
security
grabbed her
system.
body to bury her, that same thing would have happened.
yeah, actually, it had nothing to do with touching her. It was the trigger was
And what was the
first
trigger?
the first person to either mess with her stuff or open the door.
So that attack was happening no matter what.
Well, as soon as you opened the door, the
Yeah.
cauldron shifted. Tommy, who was all amped up, I said, "You hear this creaking noise," and then he punched. So Tommy actually didn't trigger the fight. He may not know that now, but
No, he
Took
knows
that
it.
away from Tom, yeah.
Yeah, he knows it
yeah, sorry.
deep down.
There was really no way to not trigger it. Is one of those, unless you identified it as a construct and could somehow.
Unless
I
you have
don't-
the foresight to know that forest hags will forget to turn off their security systems before dying in their sleep.
Right.
Yeah,
And now we know that.
Right.
it was all she really could do to kind of leave that little final message.
She was probably pretty lonely. I mean, she probably had to come up with some ideas to entertain herself. The thought of this cauldron attacking things probably maybe enlightened her. Maybe just gave her something to think about. Just
Maybe-
imagining someone being attacked by this cauldron.
I think you're just setting up excuses for doing that in your own life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, life isn't always an amusement park.
He's trying to justify his cauldron fighting ring.
Yeah.
He has.
Rule number 1, Jeff. Guess who's out of it?
I suppose that had you carried the cauldron out, if you're like, oh, let's get this out of the way, that technically wouldn't have triggered it, and then you could have like hauled it off into the woods. I suppose that would have been the only way to bypass it. But you would have had to known. You know,
Yeah.
really, it was just one of those things. It was
gonna happen.
It was gonna happen.
Yeah.
I was very I don't even have a word for it, but it was very interesting that the first thing that we fought was this cauldron. We fought something that you normally you fight a goblin. That's the first thing that something like that.
Or like a rat.
And we fought something that had every resistance except for acid.
Yeah.
You know how long it would have taken if we would have not had acid?
I don't know. It was a little while.
We could have died, Don.
I mean, it couldn't hit us either, so I think we were fine.
Well, but I got chomped in the leg, 9 points, one attack.
I mean, sure.
Yeah.
This is one of those. This is one of those adventure building things. So, I am using.
Yeah.
I'm using a published adventure that I've reskinned. I've definitely rewritten a lot of things. And I'm a big fan of non-linear adventures. So this is one where it's obviously sort of baited to go in a direction, but you really could go in any direction to solve this. I mean, so that didn't have to be your first one.
Yeah, the DM side of me is like, Forest Hag first? What?
I mean, but it objectively was, well, I don't know. Well, we could talk about that at the end of the adventure.
My favorite part of it was that we quickly realized that hitting it with sticks and spears was not working, but we're like, just keep doing it.
Well,
all we
we
got.
didn't really have another option.
It didn't. I mean, but most every ding you guys did, you were doing like a point of damage. It just basically had DR5 against everything physical. So you were. I mean, a lot of times you guys were doing 6 points of damage. So you would have beaten it to death as long as nobody got chomped again. But yeah, that is also like if I'd have rolled nat 20, then sure.
Boy, the
we'd
heat
have had
metal
a
spell
really,
would come in handy.
it's been a really short campaign.
I mean, but also, we had a door behind us. We could have left.
Yeah, right. And that's the other thing.
There were
is
numerous
that,
options that
it
we
wouldn't have
did not.
chased you. Right. Yeah. So that is the other nice thing about getting overwhelmed and stuff like that is that, yeah, you can flee. Mm-hmm. And you should definitely keep that in mind. I don't know if I've said this on air. Maybe I have. Is that, I mean, I'm building this world asynchronous to your abilities. Mm-hmm. You guys can go in a direction where there might be something horrible and we'll kill you. So I'm not going to punish anybody ever for fleeing.
Sure. And it just goes against everything that we know as a player. You have to understand, too, because so it's been pounded into us for years and years and years to be the hero. Like, oh, I'm not running, but I'll run. My little dwarf legs will carry me as fast as I can away from danger.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's almost like Elden Rings, right? I mean, there's no level of, I don't know if you played that yet.
I haven't, but
Oh my goodness!
I have, and I run away plenty.
Yeah,
So
there is no scaling,
yeah.
and so it is what it is right up front, and you can easily die.
Yeah, and so it's also I roll. I mean, I don't know if I can see my tray. I don't roll behind the screen. That's unless it's something like a mystery or something that you're not supposed to know. Mm-hmm. But if I'm rolling to kill somebody, sorry.
Sorry.
Anyway, next question. What do you got? We got 6.5 minutes ish.
That was my burning question.
Yeah. How much time do we have left?
Well, whatever.
I have a question.
Yeah.
No, the
How
cauldron.
close was the pixie to dying?
Good one.
I got to be honest, Don. I'd never wanted any creature I've ever faced in any role-playing game to meet its demise more than that pixie. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, re-listening to that, I'm like, that's a little dark, and that was also really comedic.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what I was thinking.
she was like at half health. But you got to remember, and Rochelle and I have had this conversation about her character, is that Pathfinder is kind of weird, is that characters, their hit points aren't based on their size, it's based on their class. So a 1 foot tall wizard has the same hit points as a 6 foot tall wizard. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Don't think about it too much. It's just...
Well, I mean, hit points really only represent somebody's
Right.
stamina.
Right.
And arguably, anytime we, air quote, hit her, it's probably more a case of a nimble dodge that took away some exhaustion. Like, realistically, one good thump to the head would knock her out, but we weren't actually likely connecting in those cases.
I mean, well, except for the jolts.
Yeah.
That's actually
You're
the
the
only
only one.
damage you guys did was you jolted her.
Yeah, I was
And then
hitting her
grappled
with
her.
electrical jolts.
I mean, that when Daerun swung his hammer, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this could be kind of gross.
My proudest moment was the created water over.
That was good. That was a good idea.
Yeah, and
solid plan.
That almost would get like a silver in my world if I was giving out silver.
You know, it was so here that's double sided.
6 minutes.
Is that you were? I hate retconning crap, and it was great, and I did enjoy that. There is an updated description to that, though. And I'm like, oh, you're looking at the online SRD spell description.
Well, I don't know where else I'm going to look. I mean, I'm not going to have like a book of spells.
Well, there's a spell database on our website.
Yeah. I was
Well, there's an
using-
everything database
Right.
on the internet.
Well, okay, but there are spells that when I redid the P6, create water is actually one that I modified based on how quickly it generates the water. I know.
So that's more of you changed that, not anybody else.
What do you mean?
Well, like you changed it because you wanted to take longer. Is that why you did?
I changed the nature of the spell because I always thought a cantrip that could just drop several gallons of water it has kind of this weird game breaking, like world building things behind it that I don't want to get too deep in. Maybe I think that's a we should talk about that in the
Sure.
DM show. But then also like that water sort of vanishes after a little bit.
Sure.
Which also then I was like, oh, well, she wouldn't have to dry off because the water actually would just evaporate.
Well, then you're getting very physics machine out of that, right?
Well, but see, the way I had rewritten it is that it generates based upon how wet the environment is, and then it's permanent. It's more like you condense water and then you make it, and then you can use it to drink and fill your canteens and stuff.
Right.
So it's actually
So I can't create water that exists in my to drink.
that doesn't already. You really already can't. The way the long-standing spell is. Pretty certain. But let's come back to that.
Oh, it disappears after a day if not consumed.
A day? All right. Well. All right. Let's
I
carry
would
on.
say those little things we will go back, but there's two sides to that. I could argue my way out to that too. As far as now, you could go through a lot of cantrips and do the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I did modify a few. Anyway,
I'll
Source
make
of
sure that
Truth
we get our list.
is our website. When in doubt. All right. Next. Who's got anything?
Done talking about that.
I don't think that's I don't think that's right for what we're supposed to be doing here.
Okay. Any other questions?
I mean, this is your
Non-spell-based.
opportunity. I mean, this is you have questions for each other. We got like I said, I don't want to spend an hour doing this because
Yes.
with questions about the adventure so far. Anything?
Well, I think at some point we really do need to have a chat about the difference between fairies and pixies.
I felt like that was the end of the last. I mean,
Was very much.
it was pointed out. I got. Obviously, there's a bad reputation that follows you because of pixies. It sounds like.
Well, I mean, that's my perspective as a fairy, or Zinnia's perspective as a fairy.
Yeah.
But
Well, were you? Is that a question for me, or was that just?
no, I'm addressing the group here.
Oh, okay.
That clearly there needs to be a discussion about,
Are all pixies bad and are all fairies good?
well, that is Zinnia's perspective.
Sure.
I mean, there's the rare exception to the rule. But in general,
From my perspective, I'm just flying by the seat of my pants with these complete new creatures that I've never, ever seen before in my life. And to be able to tell the difference is challenging enough, let alone hit them with a hammer.
As long as you can hit it with a hammer, you know it's real.
She was stealing. That's the way I saw it.
You don't have to justify it then.
No, I'm just saying that from a viewpoint where we live in more of a social structure versus the Fey world, there's different, I don't know, rules, laws. I don't know what you have for some kind of society and the rules that you live within, if there are written rules.
Well, the easiest way, though, to tell a fairy apart from a pixie is our wings,
Okay.
our wing structure. So fairies will have more of the butterfly type wings,
Okay.
Okay.
and pixies will have more of like dragonfly looking wings.
Sure. When they're moving, it can be difficult to see.
No.
Are
So
the
pixies are also brighter colors.
Okay.
do they use the same type of dust to fly?
Oh, that's a good question.
They do, but they have
Different colors though?
You don't call it pixie dust, though.
I have fairy dust.
Okay.
Got it.
Wow.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about the
But they're
colors.
the same thing. They
but
just
they do have
different
different
names.
innate powers also.
I hope that you saw that offensive face because it was palatable through the mic. Fairies and pixies are not the same. Are there other ones that are attached to that genus that we don't want to mix up?
I am not aware of any others,
Okay.
although I'm only aware of the fae within my
Sure.
area. So
I mean, there definitely are. Yeah, there are bad fae. Well,
I'm saying, like, is there, like, physically, is there another creature that looks like either of them that are completely different than, not that you're aware of?
not that I am aware of.
Sure.
yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, there's will-o-wisps, but those are
Sure.
harder to confuse us with.
Yeah,
so.
they're just floating balls of light,
yeah,
right?
right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else, you guys?
One more time, that website for your spells in the world. Is it on our wiki page?
There is there's a link to the
What is it?
Google Sheet.
Okay. That one.
I still want to get those transcribed, but there's not a the wiki format doesn't accommodate like a 1,000-row table well.
Okay.
So I discovered that. I'm like, I'll just copy paste it in there, and went. "Ah."
Didn't like that.
It did not like that at all. So I do have to figure out, because I don't want to have like a single page for every spell.
Mm-hmm.
1,000 pages.
Well, I mean, that's what they do on the Pathfinder, the PFSRD.
Man.
I don't know who spent how much time doing that. Anyway,
Yeah, it's huge.
yeah.
All right.
Anything else?
I am good.
Yeah, I got nothing.
So, did you enjoy doing this? I mean, we could do these. My original thought was like every 5 episodes.
I would like to have some. I don't know. I would like to have questions from the listener.
This would be a great format for that.
Yeah.
So hopefully by the time the next one comes around, we'll have
There might be
listeners.
some.
Yeah.
There might be some questions, or there might be some listeners.
Both.
Both.
The answer is both.
Well, there'll be one listener, Don, because he listens back for it.
He's not listening for actual content,
Oh.
we find.
All right. Well, I'll have to work on it.
Hey,
Okay.
you open up these doors. We're gonna go in. Take
All
a look
right.
around.
Well, that's it for now. We'll keep this one. We'll keep this one short. We're gonna jump into episode 6 now.
Yay.
So
Ooh.
we'll see you guys in about a minute.